Hello and welcome to my first ever book haul. So in May, for 2 weeks, I went to the UK and I bought 10 books. The first place that I traveled to was London. First bookstore that I went to was a Waterstones. I know that's just a chain bookstore. I usually like to go to independent bookstores, but it's Waterstones and I follow them on Instagram, so I figured I should go to a Waterstones. I actually didn't buy any. I went to the Tottenham Court Road one because it was close to the British Museum. The second bookstore that we went to was on the same day. We went to Foyles on Charing Cross, and I got Your Family, Your Body, which is a collection of poetry, and it's part of the Modern Poets series that Penguin does. This is the third in the series, and I got this because I wanted to read some Warsan Shire, and I had found a collection of hers that's just her, but I thought this would introduce me to 2 other poets, and I've been wanting to read more poetry. So yeah, I got this from Foyles and I was super happy with my find because I've been wanting this for a while. The next place that we went to was Bath. First bookstore that we went to was Scoobs. It's a secondhand bookstore. It's inside this little markety place. I forget what the market's called. I didn't buy anything. It's not very large, but they have a lot of stuff. So the second bookstore that we went to was in Bath. So this book I got from Topping and Company Booksellers of Bath. It is Emily Dickinson letters. I really just love this edition. It's just so gorgeous. This copy is beautiful. I also got Why I Write by George Orwell from the same bookstore. The other bookstore that I went to was George Bantam's Books. It's an antique bookstore. They bind books as well. Now those books are rather expensive, but they have book spines that you can buy for £2, I believe. This one is Arabian Nights. I just kind of found the prettiest book spine that I could find, but I thought that was really neat. The third place that we traveled to was Hay-on-Wye, which is in Wales, and it is this small town filled with secondhand bookshops. The entire town is filled with secondhand bookshops, and the town has a castle, it has a cute ice cream place, and antiques. It's the perfect town. We only had one night there. They have this map of all 30 bookstores, and you can like check them off. I went to 19 of the 30 bookstores, which I thought was pretty good. So one of the books there that I got was Appointment with Death by Agath Christie. This store, I got it from a store called Murder and Mayhem. Another store that I went to was Addyman Books, and they as well had a lot of Penguin classics. And they had these pink ones. But all the pink ones seem to be travel and adventure non-fiction stories, so I got one that just sounded interesting, and it's Those Greenland Days by Lindsay. It's just really pretty, and the penguins are hard to come by. Another book that I got that I was really excited about was Miranda Hart, Is It Just Me? It's like a collection of essays. Miranda Hart is a comedian, she's British. I first saw her on the Graham Norton show and I thought she was really funny, and she had a TV show called Miranda and I loved it and I love her. But I got this from Hay-on-Wye Booksellers. Another book I got was in Richard Booth's, which is like the original bookstore, secondhand bookstore in Hay-on-Wye. It was started by this man named Richard Booth. He no longer owns this bookstore. He owns another bookstore in the town. And I got You Can't Keep a Good Woman Down by Alice Walker. I've read A Color Purple and Meridian by Alice Walker, and I've loved both of those. Another book that I'm very excited for, I know I've been saying that for each book, is a book that I've been looking for forever. Not forever, but like since I've been watching Gilmore Girls and like I paid attention to what books they're reading. I know I could buy it, new, but I kind of wanted to buy it secondhand, unless when I was in New York a couple years ago, if I found it there in a bookstore. But again, I never have time in bookstores when I'm on vacation. It would have been nice to find this book there and then read it in Washington Square Park. Do you know the book I'm talking about? It's the book that Jess is reading when Rory visits him in New York, and it's the Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test by Tom Wolfe. So I got this in Broad Street Book Center. And the last book that I got in Hay-on-Wye and that I got on my trip is A Gallery of Children by A.A. Milne, who wrote all the Winnie the Pooh stories. I got this from Rose's Books, which is all children's books, and They had really beautiful antique copies. So those are the books that I bought, but I also want to tell you what other bookstores I went on my trip. The next spot that we traveled to was Keswick in the Lake District. So we went into Bookends, which is one that I had looked up, which I thought was like the only bookstore in town. But then there was another bookstore that had, I don't know what this bookstore is called though, because I don't think it has to have had a name, but I didn't see a name. But it was like a secondhand bookstore, mostly antiques. They also had like old maps and different prints. Yeah, that was really nice. She was super friendly. Everyone was always super friendly. I love going to bookstores. Another place we went to was Edinburgh in Scotland. I did not actually visit any bookshops in Edinburgh. I had a whole list, we just didn't have time, but I did have a very bookish themed time in Edinburgh. The first place that we ate in Edinburgh was the Elephant House, which is where J.K. Rowling wrote part of the Harry Potter series. And we sat in the back, which is where she sat. We didn't have a choice, but that's where they sat us. Just the exact same view that she had, and I went into the washroom, and like, which is like just covered in people's signatures and leaving notes, and I left a note. It also has really great food, and our waitress looked like Jenny Slate a little bit. So after we ate at the Elephant House, we made our way to the Greyfriars Cemetery, which is where Voldemort lies. So there's a grave in Greyfriars Cemetery, and the person buried there is named Tom Riddle, and J.K. Rowling used to walk there, and she saw this and she named Voldemort after this man. Also, to top off that night, we went to the Balmoral Hotel, and we entered the Balmoral Hotel. Then we entered the elevator in the Balmoral Hotel, and then we went to the 5th floor and we found room 552. And you know what's in room 552? It's the room that J.K. Rowling stayed in when she finished writing Deathly Hallows. She stayed in that room, and I touched the door. There's a little owl knocker. Is it a knocker or just an owl? I don't know. I don't remember. And I touched it, kind of stroked it, and it was amazing. That was very cool. Our next stop on our trip is we went to Inverness, and Inverness has a bookstore called Leakey's. It's a really gigantic secondhand bookshop. It's in an old church, and it's pretty, and they also have antique prints and maps, and I bought a print, and I got this lily pad print, and they're all the prints there say that they're over 100 years old. They don't have any other information on them. I thought that was neat. I like it. And then the last place on our trip that we went to was Glasgow. I had 2 antique bookshops that I wanted to go in, but again, we only stayed there one night, and by the time we arrived in Glasgow, it was like late afternoon, and there was a Waterstones. I just really like bookstores in the UK, and it seems like they have a lot more, especially London has a lot more independent bookstores that Toronto has. So that concludes my first haul and the bookstores that I visited when I was in the UK. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I got to touch J.K. Rowling's door that she stayed and finished Deathly Hallows. And yeah, I'm just gonna always just pipe that into every conversation. Did you know I touched J.K. Rowling's door where she finished Deathly Hallows? Yeah, I did. My right hand? I think so. Anyways, I'm gonna go. Bye guys.